because let's remind ourselves of the full cost of this historic shutdown.
Hundreds of thousands of federal employees have missed their paychecks. An estimated 5.2 million travelers have had their flights disrupted over the course of the Democrat shutdown. And our economy has lost billions and billions of dollars in economic activity.
But according to these Democrats, it was all worth it.
Shutdown worth it? Yeah, I think so. I hate it. But yeah, it was worth it, definitely. We got people to pay attention to the fact that this is a traumatic, in many cases, life or death situation for people all over this country.
Was the shutdown worth it? I think it was.
Billions in economic activity, millions prevented from traveling to see their families or go to work, and thousands of families going hungry. But to these people, some abstract political point was worth it. Joining me now is President at the Center for the American Experiment, John Hickenlooper. John, thanks for joining me. I just mentioned off the top there how some Democrats are boasting that the shutdown was worth it. I mean, this was the longest shutdown in history, cost the country millions of dollars and impacted everyday Americans for more than 40 days. What do you make of that take, that it was all worth it?
Well, the shutdown is over. The Democrats seemingly gained nothing. And so a lot of people here in America are asking, what was the point? What were they really trying to accomplish? And there is a school of thought that the Democrats never really intended to obtain anything tangible. And all they were really trying to do was rile up their base for the sake of the elections that were going on in New Jersey and Virginia. And if that was their goal, I think it succeeded. They got their base riled up. They won those elections by substantial margins. And it may be that that's all they ever really intended. And if that's the case, Caroline, we're going to see the same thing next year. This may have been a trial run for a government shutdown in the months leading up to the big 2026 midterm elections.
It's quite the election tactic, isn't it? Along those same lines, I showed Mike Johnson's take that New York Democrats Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, well, they were thinking more about internal politics in voting against ending the shutdown. What sort of pressure do you think this whole fiasco has put on them?
You know, it's very hard to say. I mean, again, it may have been kabuki theater. Chuck Schumer is regarded as weak by some of the real fanatics in the base, but I don't see any real opposition to his status as minority leader in the Senate. And it may be that Schumer was doing exactly what his party wanted him to do.
Look, I want to move now to energy. You've written a great piece this week on your Powerline blog about the ongoing dangers of renewable energy. And I bring this up because you even mention Australia and how reckless our renewables push is. Meantime, you've got California Governor Gavin Newsom trashing the Trump administration for not showing up to last week's COP30 climate summit in Brazil. Take a look.
I literally came out here. I'm stunned. I'm just stunned. I got 4 kids. The hell's going on in my country? Not one person from the administration just to show any respect to any of you. Forget politics. Disrespect. We're in Brazil.
John, it seems like Newsom is really pushing hard here to contend for the 2028 presidential race. Do you think climate and energy will be a key issue over these next 3 years?
I think they will be, Caroline. So in Brazil, Gavin Newsom was preaching the old-time climate religion, and I'm not sure he understands that the wind has shifted on that issue. Donald Trump is withdrawing the United States from these green commitments. He openly denounces the green scam, as he calls it. And, Bill Gates wrote that long and really influential memo about the need to step back from climate alarmism and instead focus on global human well-being. A very controversial concept, of course, on the left. But I think that the winds are blowing in Trump's direction and not Gavin Newsom's. And as you mentioned a moment ago, renewable projects are failing all around the world. You had a big one in Australia, this $1 billion battery project that was derailed by transformer failures. There's a big backlog in trying to get transformers either built or repaired. It could be years before all those transformers are back on line, and it's the kind of thing that we're seeing all around the world. Meanwhile, of course, you Australians are getting your electricity from coal, which actually works. And in my opinion, what we're seeing is that this so-called energy transition just isn't happening. There's more coal being burned than at any time in human history. There's more natural gas being used than at any time in human history. And if we ever do see a transition, it's going to be a transition to nuclear, not to wind and solar.
Yeah, well, we certainly have the resources here, the coal, the gas, the uranium. The problem is we just export the coal and uranium elsewhere, and we don't want to use it ourselves. I like your pun about the winds shifting, because over here we've just had our coalition, our more right-leaning party, say that they're going to abandon this net zero target emission. So not quite as far as your president has gone in calling all of this out, but a move in that direction. Look, let's take a look at former U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris claiming she outsmarted Trump in last year's election race.
And I wasn't about to fall prey or fall into those traps. And part of his strategy and those around him was to try and take me off our game and message. And I wasn't about to be distracted by those flames that he was trying to throw to get me away from my highest priority, which was talking to people about the economy and their well-being in terms of their financial well-being. And so I understood the game that was being played, and I made a decision that I wasn't going to get played. And
chess, not checkers. Got it.
Chess, not checkers. Yeah, three-dimensional chess, I'm telling you,
John, I mean, this woman could have been your president. She is just delusional at this point, isn't she?
Well, she's delusional. The fact is, Caroline, she is not an intelligent person. She just isn't. And this came through loud and clear during the presidential campaign. All through her career, she's been able to kind of hide the fact that she really has no idea what she's doing, but you can't hide in a presidential campaign, and everybody saw it. And so I don't want to beat up on poor Kamala Harris, but the idea that she is somehow outsmarting President Trump by losing to him massively is delusional at best.
Well, maybe that was her plan all along, that smart cookie. The White House announced this week it would consider a 50-year mortgage repayment plan to address the nation's housing crisis. The Federal Housing Finance Agency director said it was a complete game changer for home buyers, while Trump downplayed the hysteria, describing it as, quote, no big deal. John, look, we face our own housing crisis here in Australia as well. How do you think this plan would work?
I don't think it's a good idea. And the reason is, with a 50-year mortgage, it'd be years and years and years before you have any equity in your house. I mean, nobody buys a house intending to live in it for 50 years. And a home buyer could buy a house, pay the mortgage for 10 years, 15 years, go to sell the house, and realize he hardly has any equity. All he's been paying is interest because of the amortization schedule. But let's get to the real point. America does have a housing shortage. There are fewer houses in the United States than there were in 2008. And since then, we've brought in something like, who knows, 15 million or more immigrants. So yes, we have a housing shortage. Why is that? There are some areas of the United States where they're building houses like crazy, like, for example, Texas and like Florida and like Tennessee. There's other places where they can't build houses at all, like California and Illinois and New York. And what's going on there is the taxes and regulations and fees in those blue states are making it impossible to construct affordable housing. And it's in the red states where you can still build affordable housing. That's where the houses are being built, and that's where the people are moving.
Well, it'll be interesting to see because, as I say, we have our own housing supply issue. If it does work, then we could be following in the Trump administration's footsteps. John Heineraker, thank you for joining me.
Great to be with you.